James Bond.
Bond, James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond. James Bond.
Bond, James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Okay, I think I fixed it now. I boomered myself. But it wouldn't be a nostalgic Nirvana without some kind of audio issue, right? So, hello, everybody. I hope you are doing absolutely fantastic. And it is Thursday night. It is Friday Eve. And we are about to talk about one of the greatest franchises of all time. That iconic line has got to be one of the best, most recognizable, simple yet powerful, lines in cinema, in literature. It's just perfect. It's as close to perfect as you are gonna get. So tonight, we're actually going to do a little bit of a series with these. So tonight, we're going to talk about what I think is each of the best theme songs from each era of Bond. So Connery, Lazenby is going to be pretty easy because he's just got the one. Dalton, Brosnan, Moore, and of course Craig. Who is, in my humble opinion, also really easy because there was really only one theme song that I guess felt like a Bond theme. Like, I don't know. It's just something about his predecessors did it better. And I don't know why that is. But that's what we'll be discussing this week. So these are the ones that I think are the best from each era of Bond. Next week, we're going to talk my top 5. So it'll be a little bit different. It's not necessarily the ones that were the highest rated or the most watched or whatever, but just like my top 5 personal favorite. And then the week after that, we're going to talk top Bond girls. And we're going to do the evil Bond girl and the good Bond girl. So we'll have each. Father Miller, what's going on? Wish I could be in Dallas, but it just came off retreat today. Hoping for Wisconsin whenever that is. Oh, very cool. Okay. Hey, no worries. You do you, Father. It's good to see you. Hello, chat. ARC Trooper 5s is here. Hello, Legionist. Licensed to thrill. I love it. Over opinionated as hat. Not exact theme song, but I always love the Three Blind Mice opening of Dr. No. Yes, that is good. So next week you will most likely see some of these songs on the list, but not all of them. So this is what I think is the top theme song from each era. So it's but there were some bad girls that were very, very naughty. And we do have, so like if you look at like Octopussy, right? She's one of those gray area ones, and so maybe she'll be in both categories. You never know. I guess you'll have to tune in to find out, huh? I remember that too. I agreed with some of it and I disagreed with some of it. Arc Trooper says, I remember watching Critical Drinker's video ranking every James Bond actor. Yes. For the most part, I agreed. I deviated on a couple. But I go back and forth. It's hard for me. I might have to, if I ranked my Bonds, it would be so hard because I grew up with Pierce Brosnan as my James Bond. That's who I saw in the, like, when I saw James Bond in the theater for the first time, it was Pierce Brosnan. And I mean, I loved Bond so much, but I don't know what I would pick. Because it's Sean Connery. Without him, I don't know that there would be the Bond franchise that there is. You know what I mean? But also, I grew up with Pierce Brosnan, and I love a bunch of Roger Moore stuff. And I think Timothy Dalton didn't really get a fair shake, honestly. Daniel Craig, I hate that he got 4, or that he got 5 films, and Pierce Brosnan only got 4. I think that's one of the greatest injustices ever. Especially the way he treated the Bond character. But that is for a stream on a different day. Because we are here to talk all good things about Bond. And one of the best things is, of course, hey, Nadia, it's a nice gamer, what's going on? One of the best things is, of course, the iconic opening credits. So, without further ado, gosh, I hope I don't boomer this one. All right, I think I've got it. Maybe. All right. Here we go. This is from, now this particular one was the easiest, and that's why we're starting with it, because it is the only one in this era of James Bond. This is none other than George Lazenby's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It is one of the longest Bond films. And it is an interesting one. People have very mixed feelings about this one. Some people think it is the absolute best. Some people think that it's meh. And there are people who are like, I don't really care for it. And the biggest disagreement that they have is because they say that Bond never should have gotten married. That's where a lot of them sort of fall off with this particular film. I enjoy the film. I think it's actually pretty good. It is a bit long, and I think if this had been my first Bond film, I don't know that I would have been as ecstatic or excited or interested to see the other Bond films. But I appreciated it when I did watch it. So, Father Miller says, see, he says it's the best one. And Adiga Outlaw says, it's my favorite Bond film. Hey, Adiga, by the way. And Legionist says it shows why Bond will never marry again. Yeah. Didn't he do that in No Time to Die with Daniel Craig's character or whatever? Or whatever. I didn't waste my time with that one. Like, congratulations, Hollywood and MGM. You have managed to kill any and all enthusiasm for the final Bond film from Daniel Craig. He was just so not into it. But, like I said, different stream, different day. This opening, although there are no lyrics, I would argue that this is perhaps the most British and like British-centric and very proud of being British opening of any of the Bond films. So, without further ado, let's listen to a few clips of this. There's going to be a lot of music in this one, so I have no doubt the stream is going to get struck. So if you're catching this on the replay, you may not get to hear the music. So I'm sorry about that, folks. So here we go. From On Her Majesty's Secret Service. British. Like you have that deep, like that trombone, you have the, right? It's very, this is very proud to be British. Very, very much so. I love it. George Lazenby. We've got Big Ben. We've got the martini glasses. I mean, James Bond is, and he is a British spy. He is Britain, pop culture icon stratosphere. Amazing. So, sorry, I'm gonna have to keep hitting pause. And then we've got this iconic, the martini glass is an hourglass. And you get to the scenes. She is so pretty. Like, even when I would go back and watch this, oh my gosh, gorgeous. You get to see them cut. Gosh, remember when women were beautiful? So, like I said, this one, I can't really put a yes or no vote in the chat because it's the only one from the Lazenby era. So whether you think it's great or not, oh gosh, see the silhouette, all that jazz. So whether you think it's great or not, you can't. I mean, it has no competition. It is the only one from the Lazenby era. So you get all these different scenes from previous Bond films. Here we go. Oh, everybody remembers this, especially the boys. I think that's why I love the hourglass, right? So it's like the sands of time have passed. They did so this was like a transition. Like, this has come before. We're aware of it. We're being respect. See, remember when people used to respect what came before? I'm trying so hard not to get hit. It's when if you remember right, he forces a kiss on her. Forces, quote unquote forces. But it's such a good film, and it pays respect and to what came before, and it just does such a good job. And the music itself is fantastic. So, what I mean, can you guys hear it okay? I just realized you guys might not be able to hear it. So it's, yes, like, it is, as I said, it is the most, it's paying homage to previous James Bond films, but it is the most proud British intro that they have of any of the James Bond films. Like, when I was going through and picking the different songs for this particular nostalgic Nirvana, I was like, this is like incredibly British. Incredibly British. And that's a good thing. That is a good thing. So, On Her Majesty's Secret Service takes the cake, as it has no other competition. And that's the only reason I started with it. I actually genuinely enjoy this song and this intro. It was just wonderful. It's such a good one. So this one actually comes in at number 4 for me, which surprises a lot of people. But yes, that one comes in at number 4. Shall we do number 5? I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by this one, because a lot of people want to argue that it is like the greatest one of all the James Bond intros, and I have a real problem with that. This is number 5 for me, Skyfall. It cannot be denied that Adele has got pipes, right? I mean, the woman is incredibly talented, for sure. But there was something about, so first of all, this is the only one out of Daniel Craig's run that is even really worth mentioning. Casino Royale wasn't bad, but Spectre, that intro, not a good time. Not good at all. Oh gosh, I can't. Quantum of Solace was really confusing. And it was really creepy is not the right word, but it was very almost like angsty 2011 teenager. Like not quite like emo isn't in anymore, but they're like, so they're not quite emo, but they're not quite normal. They're like floating back and forth. So it's like they're wearing the skinny jeans with the dyed hair, but then they have like polo on or something. I don't, it's very chaotic and not in a good way. I don't like Quantum of Solace's intro at all. Points to you, Ashap, because that is, yeah, techno emo would be the best way to describe it. Yeah, Denice Gamer, it is not. I am not. I was not okay with it. Muzza, you dog. What are you doing? Look at this nerd. Poof! Listen. Are we gonna play Among Us? Huh? I'll bring grapes. Or do you demand mandarins? But yeah, this Skyfall is really the only one worth mentioning in a lineup that was confused, chaotic, and unpleasant. Really, really unpleasant. And I think Adele is the reason that this particular theme song is as popular and is as good as it actually is. So Skyfall, I think, is the best out of Daniel Craig's run. But it is number 5 overall for me. So number 5 was Skyfall and number 4 was On Her Majesty's Secret Service. And that's just because it doesn't have any other competition, and it is actually really, really good. It is so, I guess, British, that it just fills you with this like this pride, almost like you can feel how proud they are to be from Britain, and that James Bond is a British Secret Service spy. Like, it's just awesome. All right. From what I remember of Skyfall, I still don't know where the jellyfish fit in. You know what I mean? Of the films in his run, awesome. Thanks, Maza. Mwah. Of the films in his run, Casino Royale was by far his best, but I think that it proved he couldn't really evolve from that, if that makes any sense. This always really confused me, like the torn up. I don't know, like Skyfall is a weird movie. Has the best intro of Daniel Craig, but is a weird movie. But like Spectre was weird, and so was Quantum of Solace. Like at least Quantum of Solace kind of somewhat made sense. A little. But Skyfall was just a lot of unnecessary death and hiding and running. Like, that's the best way I can think to describe it. It was very bizarre, and it didn't really feel like a Bond film. It felt more like almost like a Jason Bourne film, which Bond is not. You know what I mean? This makes sense. So, and this was, correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Judi Dench dies in this one, like she passes away in this one.
Let the sky fall and
Near crumble. So yes, Adele is definitely what's holding this one together. Adele's voice is why this one is as good as it is, because it, especially when you compare it to On Her Majesty's Secret Service and the other ones that we have coming up, it's pretty apparent that Adele's talent is what's carrying this.
it crumbles, we will stand tall.
Got the piercing blue eyes though. They were very good about zooming in on them.
Face it all together at skyfall.
Yeah, if I had to pin it down to why this is such a popular, why it is the best one, it's Adele, because Billie Eilish sings like the what is it? No Time to Die theme opening. So that's another female one, and it's nowhere near as good as this. So to think that it's got something to do with the fact that it's a female voice or anything like that, the fact that Billie Eilish sings No Time to Die's intro, I think it's proof that it's down to Adele is why this one is. I mean, this one gets stuck in your head too. Very few singers could do that in today's day and age, at least current day singers. There's some obviously some very talented ones, and especially from previous generations that could have done exceptional with this. But I think for as far as modern day singers go, Adele was definitely the best bet, and it's proof, because if you go back and listen to any of the other ones from Craig's era, they are just not good. % Adele. So coming in at number 5, I know we did it a little bit backwards, but I was trying to be fair because On Her Majesty's Secret Service has no competition. So it made sense, at least to me, to start there. So Skyfall coming in at number 5, On Her Majesty's Secret Service coming in at number 4. And now I know you guys are like, wait, aren't there 6? It will make sense, I promise. In a similar boat, but not identical, Timothy Dalton has 2 Bond films. So when you are talking about Dalton's run, this one was a little bit harder. The reason that A License to Kill ended up winning over The Living Daylights is because I guess I just have a bias. I don't know. License to Kill is such a good one, and it came out the same year I was born. So it was a very good year. But both The Living Daylights and License to Kill intros were fantastic. It really came down to it really came down to just stylistic choice and the songs themselves overall. Like which one gets stuck in my head for sure. So here we go. And this is really a more iconic opening. I mean, we've got the Walther PPK, very prominent, which makes sense because the name of the film is like, really got a bad rap. I wish he'd gotten more than 2 films. I really do. I know a lot of people think Lazenby, especially after Craig's run, were like Lazenby should have gotten more than 1. And I completely understand that perspective for sure. You guys remember when Bond intros used to be like very deliberate and exotic almost? Tragic things. Oh man, like there's a lot of tragedy in Bond films, but like this one was rough. And yeah, it's great to be able to get to see this and go through, because I mean neither of these introduction songs, neither of these opening songs are bad by any means. Like it was an incredibly difficult choice to pick between them for sure. So that's a good problem to have. It's a problem we haven't had in a while. So it's yeah, and Jane Jenkins and Janet Hershenson did great on it. Much to love about this intro. It's very exotic, it's very seductive, it's very powerful. The music is fantastic. That would definitely hit me. But it's good stuff. Please be kind, YouTube. But see what I mean? Like we don't get intros like that no more. Not with Craig. Not with Craig. So coming in at number 3 is License to Kill. For theme songs. Barbara Broccoli needs to start making better decisions. Just saying. All right. On to number 2. Now, this one tends to surprise some people. But tying for second place is this masterpiece.
Say live and let die.
It's so good. I love it. It's such a good, the movie is great. The song is fantastic. It definitely ties for second place. Oh my gosh. I absolutely adore this intro. It's such a good, the song itself, even if it wasn't tied to a James Bond property, still I would listen to it on repeat. It is that good of a song on its own. Like Skyfall, I probably would never listen to that on its own, but because it's attached to a James Bond property IP, I'll listen to it. But as far as Live and Let Die goes, I would listen to this thing regardless. Regardless. Did I not say? Okay, yes, Gladys Knight sings License to Kill. And is incredibly talented. Incredibly talented. And I really wish more people, like, she's not unknown. Like, Gladys Knight is very well known. And I'm just curious how people, like, when they think of iconic, great female singers, how Gladys Knight is not in at least the top 15 for anybody, if that makes any sense. And I just, yeah, she's awesome. But Live and Let Die, this is gonna come as, I don't know if this is gonna be a shock to people, but I do not like most Beatles songs. I don't. I recognize that Paul McCartney wrote it. I believe he got his wife's help too. But the band that performed it is the Wings. So the band that performed it is Wings. It was written by Paul McCartney and I believe his wife, but someone can correct me on that if it's wrong. And it is iconic. It is perhaps the most iconic that there have ever been as far as Bond songs go, let alone just songs in general. It is fantastic. I'm always blown away every time I listen to it. And at number 1, it is the James Bond theme by Monty Norman. Forget about that, Three Blind Mice. Not quite. Yeah, Charlie Stevenson's Wings. So it's performed by Wings, and I used to say like the Wings, and someone was just like, no, it's just Wings. Like, it's not the Wings. Like, it was the Beatles or the Rolling Stone, but it's the Rolling Stones, but it's just Wings. It's not the Wings. I remember having that conversation with somebody. But this is such a great, incredible, amazing introduction. It's iconic. It's so powerful, and the intro screen, whoever did this opening really nailed it. Like, truly, this is one of the best openings to any James Bond films. Doo-doo-doo. I'm gonna get struck for sure because it's Paul McCartney's music. And now we're stuck on the load screen. But yeah, it's just, see what I mean? Like, when stuff used to be so good. But this is, of course, from the Roger Moore era. So Roger Moore coming in, tying for second place for this particular lineup. And rightfully so. Rightfully earned. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing intro. You grew up terrified because of Voodoo just from this movie. Hey, I completely understand. I was terrified of quicksand because of The Neverending Story and The Princess Bride. I was terrified of it. But I mean, this intro is just, it's gorgeous, it's harrowing, it's terrifying. It lets you know what you are, it preps you properly for the film that is about to follow. It knows exactly what it's doing. And Roger Moore had 7 films. Okay, so he had Live and Let Die, obviously, Man with the Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, which a lot of people think is really silly, but I actually really enjoy Moonraker, unironically. And For Your Eyes Only, A View to a Kill, and my personal favorite of the Roger Moore era, Octopussy. That's my favorite movie, but not my favorite intro. In fact, the Octopussy intro, I don't know why it felt like there was less detail given to that one or less attention or something, but when you compare this one to the Octopussy intro, it's not even close. But I know that a lot of people really like the intro to For Your Eyes Only, and that one is fantastic. But Live and Let Die, it was a no contest. It was a no-brainer for me. It was just so good. I listened to it multiple times when I was going through the tracks, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. But I digress. So, which song, which era, which opening ties for second place? I feel like a bunch of people are going to be very mad at me, but I promise it'll be okay. Tying Live and Let Die for second place is Diamonds Are Forever. I love this one. Too much, I think. Too much. But Diamonds Are Forever. This intro, and so this is obviously, for any of you that didn't know, which I would be surprised if you didn't, Sean Connery era of Bond. And it is so incredible. Sean Connery also had 7 films. So so Moore and Connery each had 7. And then Daniel Craig had 5. But Pierce Brosnan only got 4, which I think is a crime. He should have definitely had at least 5. I would have loved to have him have 7. And then, of course, Timothy Dalton had 2. George Lazenby had 1. And Connery and Moore had 7. So they tied for not only second place in openings, but they also tied for amount of Bond films that they did. So now remember, this isn't my favorite Bond film. This is my of the Connery era. This isn't my favorite Bond film. This is my favorite Bond opening of the era. And this one was really hard as well. Not just because Moore had 7 and Connery had 7, but the thing is, it's they're good. Daniel Craig has 5, and he had 1 that was worthy of mentioning because all the rest are just they're not good. But it's not just the fact that Connery had 7, it's the fact that they're so well done. I mean, Goldfinger was so close. And you've got Thunderball, which is amazing. You Only Live Twice. Never Say Never Again. Always, people say that they don't really like that one. They don't really count it, but I don't mind it. I know that it's much different than his others, but it was, I actually enjoy it. It's my least favorite of Connery's run, but it's not my least favorite Bond film by a long shot. From Russia with Love, right? No. My brain stopped. Yeah, From Russia with Love. Yeah. And then, of course, and Dr. No. But, I mean, Goldfinger. Freaking iconic, man. But, Diamonds Are Forever. It was very, very close. I mean, we are talking the most minuscule of minuscule differences when it came to which one of these intros I liked better. And I mean, Shirley Bassey is just she's the one who sings the song Diamonds Are Forever, is just incredible. Incredible. Like iconic. Doesn't even begin to cover it.
Diamonds are forever.
Just nails it. Nails it. I love it.
Sparkling round my little finger.
And it sets up the movie so well. And you've got like just the artistic additions of it throughout the opening.
What good will love do
It's
me?
so great. And it's like
Diamonds
this,
never lie to.
where the Craig era couldn't figure out what it was, and it was like techno emo, like we said earlier. This is very much like a jazz bass with a little bit of rock elements to it, and I love that so much. It is just, I mean, I don't know who decided to go track down Shirley Bassey and have her do this, but this is probably the greatest decision artistically made regarding James Bond, quite frankly. Like genuinely, truly. It's
Me. For when love's gone, they lost their
Do you hear that power? Do you hear like just that gorgeous fullness that's going on? I mean, it was so close. Like it was so close. It was so close between Diamonds Are Forever and Goldfinger. Like I cannot begin to describe just how amazingly close it was, because Shirley Bassey also sings Goldfinger, and just her power and her incredible talent and her ability, like that soulfulness, you know what I mean? It's incredible. It pays homage to jazz, but it still has like that punk rock element to it, and it's so good. It's so good.
diamonds are forever, forever, forever. Diamonds.
See what I mean? Like it's just beautiful. She just nails it. Absolutely nails it. I love it so much.
Are forever, 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 forever.
It's just, I mean, so good. It was amazing. Amazing. Goldfinger was as good as Diamonds Are Forever. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this was so incredibly close. It's not even funny. No, Dalton only had 2. Well, he had License to Kill. Right? What? The Living Daylights and A License to Kill. What was the other one that he had? Am I forgetting one? Because I don't think so. Mud Crab, take care. Thank you for stopping by. Where do I place Casino Royale by Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass with David Niven and Peter Sellers as Bond? That's not where we're at, Legionist. I'm not doing Peter Sellers Bond for a reason. But so he's talking about the OG Casino Royale. It's higher than Craig, I will tell you that. That is for sure. So, tied for second place with Live and Let Die is Diamonds Are Forever. Just true, incredible, wonderful, amazing. That is from the Sean Connery era. So, In 5th place, we had Daniel Craig and from the Daniel Craig era, Skyfall. In 4th place, from the George Lazenby era, with he only had one, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. In 3rd place, we had License to Kill from the Timothy Dalton era. And then tied for 2nd place, we had Live and Let Die from the Roger Moore era, and we had Diamonds Are Forever from the Sean Connery era. Okay, so coming in at number 1, and maybe my bias is showing a little bit, but I'm okay with it, is none other from the Pierce Brosnan era, GoldenEye. I still love this intro so much. Like, this set the tone for Pierce Brosnan's entire run as Bond, and honestly, oh god, it's so good. It's so good. I cannot wait. If you guys haven't figured out, this one's definitely on the list next week. Can't wait to talk about this next week. So out of Pierce Brosnan's era, this was sort of like the no-brainer. I mean, really, as much as, and people hate on it, but I actually love all of the Pierce Brosnan films, and it's not just because he's the Bond I grew up with. I promise. Okay? That's not the reason. But people just like, oh my gosh, like, you really like Die Another Day? Yes, I like Die Another Day. All right? Leave me alone. But, I mean, the intros for all of the films are fantastic as well. Like, I'm gonna die another day. Do you know that one came out in 2002? Yeah, because it came out the year after Spider-Man. So it came out same year as Spider-Man. Same year as Spider-Man. So it came out in 2002. And I loved that intro. It was amazing. The World Is Not Enough. Oh my god. The world is not enough. You can't not love it. Tomorrow Never Dies. Also, like, here's the thing. Every single one of Pierce Brosnan's openers were bangers. I listened to them a lot, like all the time. Probably more than is healthy, but I don't care. I'm okay with it. I'll survive. But God in heaven, something about GoldenEye, it is just beat for beat, scene for scene, even the intro, like, it is just amazing. It's just so iconic and fantastic. And I love this opening. It is everything that a James Bond film is supposed to be. And it's so good. And we have, we have the fire, we have all the ladies. We're gonna jump ahead and make sure that I don't get hit. Judi Dench comes in as M. The scene where she is sitting down across from Pierce Brosnan, from James Bond, and she's like, I think you're a misogynistic dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War. You can't do that anymore. Like, you can't do that scene today without it coming across as absolute girl bossing. But, like, M was literally just trying to be like, assert her dominance, and Bond is like, I really don't give two flying flips what you have to say, lady. And of course, he ends up loving her, and M really loves him, and it works. The two of them work. I never got the sense, you never got that same kind of sense with Daniel Craig and Judi Dench. It never really happened, which is sad. But GoldenEye, guys, GoldenEye is about to turn 30, and that movie still holds up. That film came out in 1995. It is almost 30 years old. Wild, right? How time flies.
See him move through smoke and mirrors. Feel his presence.
Oh my gosh, knowing what happens now and seeing like the the statues, the Russian, the bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, this really does give you everything you need for the film you're about to see.
the spot. Golden
Right? You've got the Tommy flag going, and you're like, what? And of course, Britain was fighting the communists for a long time. It's only recently, excuse me. It's only recently that they let go of Hong Kong, and so it's amazing. And Tina Turner, by the way, Goldeneye is performed by Tina Turner, who she's just irreplaceable. Like, there is not another voice like Tina Turner. I don't care how talented Adele is, she's not Tina Turner. You know what I mean? Like, there are just some voices in this universe. They are a one-time occurrence. Look at it. It's so great. You're never gonna get another voice like Tina Turner. Some people might get close, but you'll never gonna get a voice like Tina Turner ever again. So this is by far and away, out of Daniel Craig, or out of Pierce Brosnan's run. So coming in at number 1 out of the different eras of Bond is GoldenEye from the Pierce Brosnan era. But honestly, all 4 of them were just exceptional. I mean, any one of them is just, like, I had to limit myself, like, no more than 2 per era for my list next week, and I might even have to make it like a top 10 list, because I really wanted all 4 of Brosnan's openings to be on the list. And I was like, well, then that only leaves 1 slot for everybody else. And I was like, how am I going to make that decision? Because there's so many good ones. Like I said, it's a great problem to have. It is a great problem to have. And I wish we had that problem today. I wish there's so much exceptional IPs being created and films and music being produced that you are going to have a hard time being able to get to see and listen to them all, to read them all. But sadly, we do not have that luxury, which is just devastating. I gotta limit the list, Charlie. I gotta limit the list. If I don't limit the list, it'll never end. Like, it'll be a 6-hour nostalgic Nirvana, and I don't know if I can do that. Steve Kenobi is here. Brosnan had 2 great ones and 2 truly bleep ones. Movies, that is. I disagree. I love all 4 of the Pierce Brosnan films. I love GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day. The World Is Not Enough. Christmas Jones, Dr. Christmas Jones, she gets way too much hate. Way too much hate. And I personally loved her. She great rack too. But Christmas, like, just fantastic. That dress at the end, I need to, like, make it. I want it so badly. And I know that's such a girl thing to say, and I don't care. You think they put those gorgeous women in those gorgeous clothes because they just want to? No, they know men like to look at them, and they know women like to look at them, and that women are probably going to buy them. And if the men like them enough, they might buy them for the women that they want to see them in those. You know what I mean? The World Is Not Enough seems really relevant right now. And the nice gamer, amen. Preach it. Preach it. Yes, Brosnan never got told that he was out as Bond. So we're going to stay, like I said, it's nostalgic Nirvana. So this is the upbeat, like, you get those good nostalgia feels. So that's why we're not diving into Daniel Craig as Bond and how he portrayed him or anything like that, or the absolute shenanigans that happened with Brosnan when he was Bond. But yes, he was never officially told. They just never called him again. Essentially, that's what happened. which is just wild to me because they were printing money. They were printing money. Everybody wants to say, oh my gosh, but the invisible car. The invisible car. Okay, Die Another Day is a good film. I don't care what anybody says. And if you guys knew the amount of plastic surgery that happens in like South Korea and in Cuba and stuff like that, it makes sense. And the fact that he disguised himself as a white man so that he could blend into that culture is freaking diabolical genius. I loved Die Another Day. It was my least, and Jinx she should have got a spinoff, in my humble opinion. Halle Berry did great. She should have got a spinoff of her own. That was the perfect setup, and they never followed through with it. What a waste. What a waste. You could have literally had a female James Bond, and it was wasted. Oh my god. Raider 03 coming in with 5243, the very specific amount, and he says nothing. He just walks in like a G and drops his 5243 and says nothing. Thank you, good sir. Thank you ever so much. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, we're going to have to do a James Bond stream where we like I might have to just make another show and just call it like we might have to do like break it down Barney style, and we'll just talk about the different eras of Bond and the different India. We'll go we will weaponized autism rabbit hole all of these films and all of these eras and talk about it. But yes, Die Another Day. I still enjoy it. I love it, honestly. And I really liked The Invisible Car. I was like, oh my god, that is so cool. How old was I in 2002? I was 12? I was 12. So I was 12 in 2002. And I thought that was so cool. I was like, dude, I want that car. I would love that car. And I mean, oh god, the cars. The Aston Martin. Like, that also is where my love of vehicles and cars spawned from, was James Bond. It's a problem. I really love James Bond as a franchise overall, and like I love Pierce Brosnan from like his 80s Remington Steele. Guys, if you've not seen Remington Steele, mwah, French Kiss. It's so good. French Kiss, Chef's Kiss. See, I'm so wrapped up, like I can't even think straight. It is phenomenal. Okay. Remington Steele, that is actually why he couldn't be Bond sooner, and I believe that's why it went to Timothy Dalton first. But yeah, they ghosted him after that. But Pierce Brosnan from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Oh my gosh. What's the volcano one he's in? Dante's Peak. Another great one. I love it. I am a big fan of that one too. Yes. Gears, Girls, Gadgets. That is Bond. 100%. That's why you're there. The fact that they forbade or outlawed or whatever the term Bond girls on set is disgusting to me. If I ever get my way and I buy MGM, but it's with Amazon now, so I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to do that. But if I ever get to buy MGM and bring it back to its former glory days, the first thing I'll be fixing is James Bond, and they will be the Bond girls. Abso-freaking-lutely. And it will be Gears, Gorgeous Girls, and Gadgets, and Bond killing bad guys, drinking martinis, and living like there's no tomorrow. That's what it would be. That is what it would be. For certain. But I know he's a dude. That's what I just said, Legionist. Over opinionated as Hat says, slightly related. I love the music in Thomas Crown Affair. Yes, it's a character in itself. Absolutely, it 100% is. You got like the artistry in today's industry. It's just lost. Like they don't saturate the IP into the score anymore. Like Jaws is in set like ba-dum. It's it it is the music is a character of its own. Um gosh, the Batman films, um oh, my brain is so Batman 89, Batman Returns, even I know people don't care for him, but Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, Gotham is a character. Gotham is a character of its own in those films. And it just gets lost in translation, and that's so sad to see. But yeah, I love this music is so good. Yeah, the Vanquish, the Aston Martin V12 Vanquish. I love it. Love it. But it's so great to have like Pierce Brosnan's run as Bond is probably my favorite. I think overall, especially like GoldenEye is like there are very few perfect films in this world, and GoldenEye is one of them. It's like there's just no denying it. And it did so much. It reinvigorated so much. It made people excited again, and it made people interested again. And then the N64 game came out, and it completely revolutionized the gaming industry. So not only was it a cultural phenomenon, but it was something like that outside of the statistical numbers, the statistics and the box office success and the video games. It was just something that you could lose yourself in. It is pure escapism. And that is something we desperately, desperately need in today's world. So, it was just phenomenal. But we have hit 1 hour. I was trying to keep this at as Nostalgic Nirvana, we keep it between an hour and a 90-minute show because it is happening a little bit late for people on like the East Coast and Central Time. It's still a little bit early if you're Mountain or Pacific, and then of course my friends across the pond. I think it's like, and when I guess the double pond, the Pacific over in Australia. I think you guys are in the morning, but UK, aren't you guys knocking on like 3 a.m.? So wild. But this was so much fun. I love doing Nostalgic Nirvana. I just get to talk about stuff that I love, stuff that matters, and that's really, really fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. We're just gonna hang on. We're gonna do. Here we go. Right there. Great intro too. Just freaking phenomenal. I'm gonna get hit, and I don't care. So if you are watching this on the replay, you are probably not going to you're probably not going to get to hear the music, sadly, which really is a bummer because that's the whole point of this. You had fun, you go back, you watch some incredible films, some incredible James Bond. Just, I mean, look at that. So go check out. Whoa, that's not what I meant to do. Haha, there we go. I boomered it. So go check out all of the James Bond era films. I mean, you can leave Craig's on the table if you want to. But you've got the Brosnan era, you've got the Dalton era, you've got Lazenby, and then of course you've got Moore and the OG James Bond, Sean Connery. Just greatness to behold. So next week, we will get to we're gonna go ahead and go over. I might be top 10. It might be top 5. I'm probably going to have to make it a top 10. But I've got to limit this list because if I don't limit this list, then we're going to be talking about, 14, 15, 17. We're going to be talking about 21. 21! I guess a top 20 isn't terrible, and like a top 20 plus one. Well, because there's technically 26, so I could do like a top 20 and maybe do like an honorable mention. But I don't know. It might just be a top 10. Like I gotta limit it because we only went through 5 songs and it took an hour. So I don't know how I would do a top 20. I just have to. I would literally just have to like click through and be like, I don't care if you agree with the list or not. But yeah. So next week at most it'll be a top 10, I think. But we'll see. I'm a woman. I'm indecisive. I'll figure it out. All right. But thank you, chat. You were amazing and beautiful as always. I greatly appreciate you guys being here and taking your very, very precious time to just hang out and talk about some great stuff. Raider, again, thank you so much for the 5243. You are the GOAT, the legend. I appreciate you more than I can say. 24-hour stream. I mean, I suppose I could, but I'm gonna have to do something with the children. Like, I guess send them to grandparents maybe, because they've got to get like fed and paid attention to and all that stuff. You can't just slide a plate under a locked door and call it good. That's not really what you're supposed to do with children. You can't ignore them for 24 hours. So if I did do something like that, I would have to definitely prep. But we'll see. If you guys want, I'll tell you what. If I can, on our next live stream, which won't be Nostalgic Nirvana, on our next live stream, if I can earn, I'll do a 24-hour stream if I can earn like $1 or if I can earn $10 an hour. How's that? If I can make it to where that factors out. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, Charlie. Oh, you were kidding too. Okay. It's too late now. Yep. Nope. I'm doing it. I'm planning. I've already gone down the rabbit hole. It's going to happen. I don't know when, but it'll happen. So Saturday, if you are not a member, sadly you will not be partaking. But on Saturday, the Pages for Ages book club returns. And the book that we are reading, so there's a few rules and they are posted and we'll go over them and everything like that. But the book that we are going to be reading for this month's book club for Pages for Ages is Redwall. So Redwall is a series. However, the books are self-contained, so you can, so if you read this one first, you can read any of them so you can read any of them in any order. Really, I always recommend you read them in order. But this particular book is it is a self-contained standalone. You can read it and you're gonna want more, but it tells a really good story. So if you are a member, all 3 levels, it'll be live for members. The ocarinas will be able to participate in the chat, and then the fellowship and gravemaster levels will get to be live on the screen on the panel discussing it and sharing thoughts about how they felt about it, who their favorite character was, the plot overall, and stuff like that. And then we will decide what our book for the next month is going to be. So I will give 3 choices, and then we'll take a vote and decide. And then it is this Saturday, 9 a.m. So Central. So that's, what is that? So that's 8 Mountain and 7 Pacific, and it's 10 o'clock Eastern. So it's the book clubs. We always try to keep them at around 2 hours. So no more than we definitely don't go past 3, but I try to cut us off at 2.5. But we try to do, like with this stream where we try to keep it between an hour and an hour and a half. For the book club streams, we try to keep it between 90 minutes to 2.5 hours. So we get a little bit of wiggle room, but then everybody gets to talk. We get to go over the book. I don't do a lot of talking during the book stream, the book club streams, because I really want you guys to get a chance to talk. And one of the rules of the book club is these are all books that I have read before. And obviously I do the reread of them. But the reason that I read these books beforehand is because some of the other rules that pertain, one of them is no smut. Like, I'm not talking about like there's like a True Love's Kiss or anything like that. You guys know what I mean when I say a smut book, I hope. Not anything we want to do. And smut books are actually the reason that Pages for Ages got created, why the book club was created. So yeah, so 9 a.m. Central on Saturday, and we will go over Redwall. And so I'm really excited for that. I should have an Acolyte. I don't even know if I want to call it a review, but I have an Acolyte. It's more of a rant that should be out sometime tomorrow, maybe possibly Saturday, because there's a lot of yelling. I'm editing out a lot of just the amount of times that I say this is so freaking stupid. If I had $1, if I had a nickel every time I said it, I'd be a rich lady. But that is what we have coming up. And then, of course, Friday Night Tights is tomorrow. The Dallas meetup is Saturday evening. It's hosted by the Rippaverse, so hopefully some of you guys will be there. I am not sure if I'm going to make it. It kind of depends on the health of Casa de Gravemaster. Tiny humans like to share germs, so we will definitely see. But I'm hoping to be at the meetup on Saturday. And then I guess I'm gonna have to make another live stream show, either like on Monday night, maybe on Monday night, and do like deep dive breakdowns of specific IPs and be a little bit more critical. Because like here for Nostalgic Nirvana, we're really going for like those good vibe, nostalgia boost feels. But on that other one, we'll have to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly. But all good things. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are enjoying yourself. I know I definitely am. And I will hopefully see... Hello, Ancient One. What's going on? 1 hour mark. It's technically an hour and 13 minutes that we've been live. But yes, it's great to see you all. I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for stopping by. As always, much love. God bless. Godspeed. And I will talk to you all later. Have a great night.
Bond. James Bond.
Bond, James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
The name's Bond. James Bond.